There's been a lot of pressure mounting over the past week or so for Secretary Acosta to step down owing to his involvement in the about a decade ago sweetheart deal that billionaire financier Epstein got. He, of course, is facing new charges, and Acosta actually has some developments as well. We had been wondering, was he going to bow to pressure? Well, as of this morning, he and the president went before the cameras, and here's some of what Donald Trump said in that case.
I got a call this morning early from Alex, and I think he did a very good job yesterday. Under a lot of pressure, he did a fantastic job, and he explained it. And he made a deal that people were happy with, and then 12 years later, they're not happy with it. You'll have to figure all of that out. And Alex called me this morning, and he wanted to see me, and I actually said, well, we have the press right out here, so perhaps you just want to say it to the press. But I just want to let you know, this was him, not me, because I'm with him. He's a tremendous talent. He's a Hispanic man. He went to Harvard, a great student. And in so many ways, I just hate what he's saying now.
So one of my favorite things about the news today was for a while trending on Twitter, there was, he's a Hispanic.
Right.
And when you click on it, it was basically just people saying, I knew what this was gonna be about before I clicked on it.
Also, it seems so weird to describe a man that old as a great student. It just seems.
Yeah, I think the richer you are, the longer you get to be a boy.
Okay, is that how it works?
Yeah,
okay.
and Acosta is kind of in, he's gonna be a boy till he's 80.
Okay, got it. That just seems like he's a great student. Oh, that was a long time ago, but you're right.
So this is progress that he is going to step down. He'll be replaced by some other troglodyte, but he doesn't get to continue as Secretary of Labor, so victory?
Yeah.
I guess?
Yeah, I think it's a victory because yesterday when he did that really defensive presser, it was pretty clear that he didn't want to step down. He honestly believed that the real hero was himself, and he didn't really think that he'd done anything wrong. He was trying to save his job, and I guess people didn't let up on him, and that's why he decided to step down. And so I do think it's a victory in a certain way until we find out who the next person is.
Yeah.
I agree. I just think that this administration has been so just refusing to have anything to do with what the public says, what a big portion of the public wants and says and is screaming. And the public won. The normal people who believe that child rapists are bad, they won.
Yeah.
And he stepped down after an embarrassing deal that he was a part of. And I'm surprised.
It wasn't only embarrassing, it was full on illegal and predatory and evil in ways that are sort of unfathomable. As the story has unfolded, I keep thinking, how does it keep getting worse? How does it keep involving more and more people that absolutely should have nothing to do with child sex trafficking? How are this many people able to be involved in something that was a secret for so long? It's crazy to me.
Yeah, actually, and related to that, I do want to say one more thing about that last video. Before that, just in case you have not been following the developments for Epstein over the past week, Epstein was charged on Monday with sex trafficking and conspiracy, and prosecutors allege that he molested dozens of girls as young as 14 in a sex trafficking operation that ran from at least 2002 to 2005. By the way, since this story has re-entered the public consciousness, at least a dozen new victims have come forward to claim they were sexually abused by Jeffrey Epstein, even as the multimillionaire money manager tries to convince a federal judge to allow him to await a sex trafficking trial from the comfort of the same $77 million mansion in Manhattan where he's accused of luring teenage girls into unwanted sex acts. So there are a lot of new victims, but we already knew about a lot of victims for some time. And that's why, although we are gonna have Acosta's video in just a second, what Trump said there is horrible. And Donald Trump seems to have some sort of biological inability to ever not be an a-hole. Because what he said there was, it was a dozen years ago, it was a deal people were happy with. No, they're not happy. Who was happy? Literally the only people where it matters if they were happy with that deal are the victims, the children who were raped. They weren't happy and they weren't even told about it until it was already done. All of that we've known for a long time. Donald Trump knew that before he spoke this morning. And yet, even though Acosta's stepping down, he still felt the need to imply that this guy Epstein, who he says he's not a fan of, he says he doesn't respect, that was a fine deal, He spent a couple hours a night in jail for a year. That seems fine and commensurate after you've raped dozens of women.
He does, I'm sorry.
Oh no, I was just gonna say, another thing is that Donald Trump does this in the context of men that he likes being accused of crimes specifically against women.
Yeah.
He cannot resist the urge to support a man who has been accused of victimizing women. From the White House staffer who was accused of
Rob Portman
beating two of his wives, and Brett Kavanaugh, and the list just goes on and on and on. And actually, I believe one of his early cabinet nominees had to step down because they were engaged in a high-profile domestic violence case as well. And Trump still supported him. He has never met a man who abuses women and is white that he won't side with. That is just, that's his brand at this point. And I'm not surprised, but I'm always a little disappointed by it.
Yeah. Well, why don't we move to Acosta, who's gonna give a little bit more about the decision that he made to step down.
Over the last week, I've seen a lot of coverage of the Department of Labor. And what I have not seen is the incredible job creation that we've seen in this economy. More than 5 million jobs. I have seen coverage of this case that is over 12 years old, that has input and vetting at multiple levels of Department of Justice. And as I look forward, I do not think it is right and fair for this administration's Labor Department to have Epstein as the focus rather than the incredible economy that we have today. And so I called the president this morning. I told him that I thought the right thing was to step aside. Cabinet positions are temporary trusts. It would be selfish for me to stay in this position and continue talking about a case that's 12 years old rather than about the amazing economy we have right now. And so I submitted my resignation to the president.
Okay, so again, we're sort of getting a victory here, but on the way out, Donald Trump and Acosta want to make sure that you know that they're not doing this because they get that people are frustrated with Acosta holding a position of power after he went out of his way to help a billionaire avoid consequences for his crimes. They're only doing it because you fools are obsessed with old stuff and you can't move on from a 12-year-old thing, and people were happy then, why are you complaining now?
He likes to appear in control. Trump likes to appear, in control of a situation, even if it's a bad situation. Because if Acosta ends up saying something about how Trump is ridiculous and it pops up in some book, in some interview, someone says he said it, we'll get all the nasty tweets about how he was horrible, he was dumb, that's why he had to be fired. That's why it happens every time. When somebody comes out.
In the next block, it's gonna happen
to another person, but it happens every time. So you never even know. I don't even know if he believes what he's saying. Nothing is the truth.
Here's what I wonder. Where is Mike Pence? And why aren't we giving him a lot more crap about this? Because he's stood by a person who is morally reprehensible for his entire career as vice president. But now he's actually kind of quietly trying to blend in with the wallpaper when this is going on, when his boss is yet again defending someone who is actually involved in helping someone get off for trafficking children. So it's like, in the midst of all of this, I think it's easy to pay attention to the loudest voice, to pay attention to Donald Trump braying and tweeting, but let's also pay attention to the people trying to just be quiet and hope this all passes them by. The respectable Republicans who are conservatives, who wear crosses on their lapels, and yet they're fine with all of this.
Yeah, and sort of related to that. I mean, certainly you have his aides and all the people in the White House that were, some of them have been there since the Rob Portman thing, and they stood by there. They watched, as you pointed out, with Brett Kavanaugh, when Donald Trump not only spoke out in defense of Kavanaugh, but in front of cheering crowds of tens of thousands of people with red hats, slut-shamed Christine Blasey Ford, as if it was some sort of fun joke to pretend that she's been making this up for literally decades. And there are a lot of people standing by and allowing that to continue, many of them Republicans, but some Democrats who don't necessarily want a lot of scrutiny on Donald Trump right now. I would put Nancy Pelosi at the top of that list. She too, I think, is hoping to sort of just back up into a bush, and then in a year and a half, hey, we won the White House, suddenly I can supposedly do my job.
Right. Yeah, that's an interesting thing about Epstein. Epstein was an avowed Democrat for a lot of his life. He gave a lot of money to Democratic causes, and he just seemed to like rich people. He wasn't really one thing or the other, but anyway, he hung out with Bill Clinton a lot. I'm sure there are a lot of people in both parties who are very established who don't want this Epstein thing to drag out anymore, because they will be implicated, someone they know will be implicated, and they'll be implicated in knowing more and not doing anything about it.
Yeah.
The TYT Plus app is now available on iOS and Android. Download to get more TYT content at tyt.com/app.